is she or his mommy?
Everybody
Nobody
have a good
tells me
week.
anything.
Well, you have to. She's a star.
You have
And
to
so is
ask
the
your brother.
turkey.
She has a wonderful, wonderful daughter.
Yeah, don't
Are you looking for mommy?
No, it's not. That's not where it belongs. Alright, very nice.
Where's
616.
Jacqueline Cushman?
Shabbat Shalom. Page 647, Oziv Azim Ratyah. I'm purposely doing this tonight. Well, usually I'm purposely doing pretty much everything for a reason. But this is the second line in the portion of this week's Torah portion. So it's literally very, very special. I'll be talking a little bit more about it as we go along because tonight is Shabbat Shirah. It's not dedicated to me at all, but it is an evening that most cantors delight in because it is really the reenactment of Miriam at the other side of the Sea of Reeds, taking her timbrel in her hands and singing the Michamocha. So tonight I'm going to do that original melody that we'll be chanting from the Torah scroll tomorrow so that you all don't have to show up here tomorrow. How about that? And then Eliza will do the rest of it for us later on in the morning. So Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Let's try that one more time with Oziv Azim Ratyah. Oziv Azim Ratyah, Vayehi Lishua. Oziv Azim Ratyah, Vayehi Lishua. Oziv Azim Ratyah, Vayehi Lishua.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I just wanted to say that even though we did sing Oziv Azim Ratyah, so that you don't have to show up here tomorrow morning.
Oh, yes, you
You absolutely still can if you want to. It's just a little rabbinic PSA that if you want to come tomorrow to our minyan or bat mitzvah, you are more than welcome. But we're very happy that you are here tonight. I was listening to, there's a political commentator who I've read and listened to for years, who always kind of irritates me. And I won't name him. You can guess, but you may be wrong. But the reason that he always irritates me is because I think that what he writes is often completely divorced from reality. I always read it and feel like, well, yeah, if I could just proclaim exactly how I wanted things to be, that would be great. And I was listening to him again this week, and I started to realize that in some ways, his separation from reality is a little bit of his superpower. That because he isn't only grounded in the way that we feel things have to be, he's able to get different things done. He's able to come up with creative solutions. He's been able to bring people together in different ways. And I bring this up because in some ways, this is what Shabbat encourages us to do. Shabbat encourages us to take time to actually separate ourselves a little bit from reality, to not be so stuck in exactly the way the world is and exactly the way everything feels at this moment, and to say this is a castle in time. This is a moment when we can try to imagine things completely differently than the way they currently are, and hope and pray and feel that one day things will be so. And I love that the Jewish calendar encourages us to do this every single week, to say we're going to step back, we're going to imagine, we're going to pretend, and then we're going to use that hopefulness and that energy in the next week to actually try to move the needle a little bit. So in this service tonight, I invite you to imagine with us and invite you to dream and say, how can we imagine things as completely different than they are right now? One of the ways that we do that in reality is by looking at people who are growing up in our community and who are incredible representations, not just of the present, but of the future. I'm so excited to call up Eliza and her family. I get to call up Jordan Matches, Tiffany Madigan, Eliza Madigan Matches, Harleen and Tom Matches, and Shirley and Mike Madigan to come light the candles with us. And if I didn't call your name, but you were expecting to come up, you should come up too. In celebration of Eliza's bat mitzvah tomorrow.
Yes, Teddy, that's you. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat shalom.
Hold this. Okay. Would you please rise as we turn to page 123 together for our Kiddush?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pori hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'varatzon hinhaltanu Zikarom lamase bereshit ki hu yom tehila lemikraye kodesh zeher letziyat mitzrayim kivanu baharta veotanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodsheha Be'ahava uvratzon hinhaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Ayadesh HaShabbat Amen.
Yeah, you can. Amazing, right?
Chaim, Mazel Tov, Eliza. We're so proud of you already and so excited for tomorrow. Please be seated. I now get the honor of inviting up Jacqueline Tushman for her Hebrew naming. Please come join me on the bima. Oh my goodness. It's extraordinary to be standing up here with you. We did not plan. It was absolutely not on the top of my mind, at least, that we get to bring you as Shira to this bima on Shabbat Shira. And it just is incredible that things lined up exactly how they're supposed to be. This is exactly where you're supposed to be, and this is exactly the right moment. You have approached your Jewish journey with that feeling of Shirah, that feeling of beautiful song. You approached it with your whole heart, your whole soul. You've asked phenomenal questions. You've learned, you've celebrated. You have embraced this life. And I hope that you feel extraordinarily embraced, that you feel like this is exactly where you're meant to be in this moment. We're so grateful that you are saying, I want to become Jewish. I am Jewish. And so we're here to bless you tonight as Shira, as somebody who has been a wonderful part of this community for a very long time, but that we know is going to continue to celebrate and bring joyous song into Judaism for the rest of your life. So I'm going to invite you to come join me on the bima, up further on the bima, and I'm going to give you the Torah and ask you a few questions. I'll ask you a few questions and then I'll give you the Torah. I won't make you hold the Torah while you're answering questions.
Would you please rise?
Do you choose to enter the eternal covenant between God and the people Israel and to become a Jewish person of your own free will?
I do.
Do you accept Judaism to the exclusion of all other religious faiths and practices?
I do.
Do you pledge to bring a sense of loyalty, joy, passion, and song to Judaism and the Jewish people?
I do.
Will you strive to establish a Jewish home and to participate actively in the life of the synagogue and your community?
I do.
Do you commit to continually building a meaningful relationship with the Jewish people?
I do.
And do you commit yourself to the ongoing pursuit of Torah and Jewish knowledge?
I do.
Yay, amen. So come up here with me, and I get to hand you this Torah, and you get to recite some of the oldest words of our entire people, words that are in this Torah, the words of the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Amen.
Amen.
I now get to invite our clergy team up to the bima to join us here and to give you the three-part benediction. So we're going to invite you to stand right here, and we'll come up, and I'm going to invite everybody, if you're comfortable, to join us in blessing Jacqueline or blessing Shira by raising your hands like this and saying, we're here with you, we're here for you, we're embracing you in our beautiful Temple Sholom and Jewish community.
Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and protect you.
Yair Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka.
May God's light continue to shine so brightly upon you, and may God be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
May you forever feel wrapped in all that is loving and meaningful and holy, and may it bring you a deep sense of peace. And together we all say,
Amen.
And Mazel Tov.
Simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov, simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov, simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov.
It's amazing to have an extraordinary community as well as an extraordinary tag team, clergy team, who will run into the
OCD
closing
cantor.
arc. And an extraordinary people who are waving at me like it's not closing behind you. Thank you everybody for supporting me in this moment together. We turn with that joy to Lecha Dodi on page 138. Please be seated.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala. Shamor v'zachor libor echad, Yishmianu el hamilchad, Adonai echad, U'shmo echad, L'shem tiferet v'litila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Shabbat nekavela, likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha, ki hi makor haveracha, nerosh mikadan nasucha, sof maaseh v'macha Shabbat techila. Shabbat Nikavela. Hitoreri, Kiva Orech Kumi Uri, Sherda Beiri, Kavod Adonai Alayach Nigla. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nikavela. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nikavela. Oim Shalom Ateret Bala, Gam Simcha Utzola, Toch Emunei Am Segula, Boi Chala, Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nikavela. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala, Pnei Shabbat Nikavela.
We stay standing and we turn to the Baruch Hu on page 146, where we call and respond to each other in blessing.
Lai 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. HaMevorach Leolam Vaed.
We turn to page 152 for the Shema. We take a moment to breathe, to close our eyes, to take in everything that feels precious and beautiful about this moment, and breathe it in and out as we turn to Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please be seated. We're on page 154.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha v'techa u'v'lechtecha v'aderech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu totafot b'neinecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'v'isharecha L'man tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kiroshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim l'hiot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
I love Shabbat Shirah. I love the Sabbath of the song because we sing that same song that the Israelites sang at the parting of the Red Sea. And then for the Haftorah, we sing Deborah's song. I love how the Sopharim, the writers of Torah, write this portion so it looks like the bricks that the Israelites made when they were living in Egypt. I love the fact that we're commanded to feed the birds on Shabbat Shirah because they are the ones who gave us the gift of song. I love the fact that Miriam took her timbrel in her hand and all the women followed her, and just as she had planned. I love the idea that we learn that there are so many ways to celebrate, to sing this prayer, even going back to our most original version.
So here's this simple melody that gets inserted into the Torah chanting tomorrow and has been all throughout this week.
Page 158.
Oh, that's right, 158.
Yeah.
Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 lai. Just like that. Mi chamocha b'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedari b'kodesh, norati lo uto seifele, malchutecha ra'u banecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam. Zeli anu v'yamru, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed. Lai, 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 lai,
As we continue on the next page, page 160, with our prayer of Hashkivenu, a prayer that asks God to lie us down in peace and to raise us up to life renewed, to excitement, to beautiful new days, to beautiful celebrations each and every day.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim l'chaim. You can literally do this on a big breath. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim
We flow off that beautiful lullaby into our Amidah, a moment where we are standing face to face with God, pleading for one of our most holy asks, that ask of peace and love for our world. On page 164 and continuing on the even pages, we rise for the Amidah.
Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה, רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים וחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני אחר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך. סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Even amongst the Shirah, amongst the songs, we need those moments of silence, those breaks where we get to communicate with just ourselves, with just our God, with just our hearts. Whether it's the words on the page or the words in your heart, I invite you to take those moments of silence, and when you feel ready, you may be seated.
shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imu Shalom Nimromah, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imu, Amen. Lai 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 Shalom Nimromah, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imu.
I've shared before, I am a news junkie, and I just love listening to the news in the car. More recently, as in the last 100 or so days, we have been hearing so much difficulty. Well, luckily on my part, my son, who's 2.5, just always wants to listen to Taylor Swift. So I do listen to less news nowadays. But when I'm just there in my car, just listening to what is going on in the world, I can't help but tear up. I can't help but feel and hear that what is going on in our world with so much pain and so much suffering. We're thinking about those who are in need of that blessing of healing, those families of the hostages, those hostages who are still being kept probably deep underground underneath Gaza, thinking about the innocent Gazans who are living through the terrors of war, thinking about the innocent Israelis living through the terrors of war as well. There's so much pain in our world, yet we continue to pray, we continue to do the work, we continue to do whatever we can to make our world a more peaceful place, a place of healing. And for many of us, healing hits home. It might be one of our friends, one of our family members who is in need of that blessing of refuah shlema, of that full and complete healing. If there's anyone who you are thinking about who is in need of that blessing, I invite you to share their name aloud with the community. For them, we recite Misha Berach, found on page 3, in the middle of page 371.
Misha Berach Avoteinu Makor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I was on vacation with my family at the end of December in Puerto Rico. And after our original plans to navigate the island's extensive caves had been dashed by a monumental rainstorm, we found ourselves on a long road trip to a different part of the island. And while the boys played video games together in the back seat, I decided to delve into Substacks that my husband Damien and I might enjoy reading. And for those of you unfamiliar with Substack, it's an online platform for writers to share blogs about what they are writing and thinking in short form. And in fact, one of the things I love about it is the way it shares how long it should take to read any given article or essay or short story, and most of the time, it's under 15 minutes. So I loaded up with some of my favorite authors and artists. I even sprung for the paid subscription for a few of them. And I wanted a break from anything at that time that was either heady or heavy. Just a couple of weeks before this trip, I had seen a 47-minute video not widely shared of the atrocities of October 7th. And I did not want to, but was asked to be a rabbi in the room for the sharing of that video with a small group of Christian leaders who bore witness to this as our allies and friends. And for 47 excruciating minutes, I witnessed almost unspeakable horrors. Israelis on a rescue mission arriving at a central location at the Nova Festival, where young bodies lay where they were murdered. And time and again, you hear a rescuer calling, "Is there a sign of life?" And someone else responding, who was with them to rescue, "No." Sign of life? No. Sign of life? No. In another clip from a home security's camera, I watched two young children with their father run from their kitchen to hide, and then watched as their father was shot in front of them. And the kids were taken back to their kitchen. And after a time, the terrorists left, and the brothers sat alone. And one of them yelled to his brother, "That was real. That was real," and then screamed, "Why am I alive?" And I've been haunted by them. Were they taken captive? Were they murdered? Who is holding them right now? And days later, I went to Israel, walking some of those same streets and entering some of those same homes I had seen in that 47-minute video. I went to Nir Oz, where I saw the onesies and sun hats and T-shirts of those red-headed Bilbas boys whose parents didn't have time to take them off the clothesline where they had been drying before they were all kidnapped. I walked the streets of Sderot, now a literal ghost town, where sukkahs still stood in yards, no one there to take them down. I was there just 2 days after the truce ended, when Hamas launched rockets into Sderot. And while I was there, I heard the fighting and felt the rumble of explosions. The war was palpable and sickening, and still is. I was taken to the top of a yeshiva where I could see Gaza through plumes of smoke. And my heart sank with the rat-a-tat-tat of guns and with each loud boom. Of course, I thought about young Israeli soldiers forced by Hamas to fight in this terrible war. And I thought about the homes and hospitals and schools, and most of all, the people in and near them, feeling a horrible sense of dread and anxiousness and sadness for all this loss. The Israeli author Etgar Garrett wrote recently, "This is a perplexing state of affairs, because I was taught that for every losing side, there's a winning side, and for every victim stuck with the short end of the stick, there's someone else holding the long end. So when exactly did the world turn into a game in which everyone loses? After returning home, I understood what a privilege it was to be able to go on vacation with my family and try to tune out the world for a bit. And these Substacks, well, they did the trick. I laughed and I learned and I turned off my heavy mind and gave a breather to my broken heart. And then at the end of the trip, right on cue, the war entered my Substacks. One of my favorite authors felt compelled to weigh in. The essay was called "Threading the Needle with a Hammer." The time it was supposed to take to read it, 10 minutes. I took a deep breath and I began reading. Just 3 paragraphs in, I shut down. I couldn't read it any longer. I couldn't even see it clearly. I skimmed it, then I tried to read it again, and again I found I couldn't. And it didn't take me 10 minutes to read this essay. It was more like 10 days and 20 if I'm honest. Thankfully, this author turned off the comments section on this particular Substack, and instead he gave his personal email address, writing, "I've said my piece, P-E-A-C-E, and if you want to say yours or respond to this post, please feel free to email." So that meant that I couldn't just go to someone else to complain. I felt compelled to talk to him and to talk with him. So I did, and more on that later. I share this story with you, and what a heavy day to share this story with you, because this is what so many of you have told me you're struggling with. Someone whom you like or respect opens their mouth to talk about Israel and Gaza, and you hold your breath to see what they'll say. And often, when they say their piece, you feel shut down, and you feel like they're not actually seeing you. And this is happening with bookstore owners and friends, with family members, and even with your clergy. You've been asking for advice privately about this for weeks. So tonight I'm going to share with you a formula you can use in 4 not so easy steps. So the first, assume good intention. And by that I mean assume a good heart. In Hebrew, dan lekaf zchut. Judge your fellow favorably. And by the way, this works with people whom you respect or you like. This won't work with people with ill intent. For people with ill intent, comments made by them should be reported to the JCRC or ADL, who can intervene appropriately. But with someone whom you respect or like, and they say something that is unsettling about this issue, and you feel unseen, the first way to be able to approach them is assume a big, good heart. And the second step, demonstrate that you've heard what they've said, and if there was something helpful or that expanded your understanding or perspective or empathy in what they said, well, tell them that. The third step, share your perspective with humility, but also with enough gumption that they can hear where you're really coming from. Don't hold back, but share it with humility. And finally, fourth, finish with a question. And the best question to end with is, can we continue to talk? Now, I'll demonstrate by reading that letter that I wrote to one of my favorite authors on Substack, the one that I still haven't sent. And who knows, maybe in response to what I share this evening in this letter, you'll find yourself taking these 4 steps with me later. So here's what I wrote. Dear George, I'm writing this letter to you because I respect you deeply. Your writing and your writing about writing have deepened my experience of life. You've not only been my guide in some of my darkest days, you have modeled how to listen more closely to what this world and the humans living in it has to say. And that's why I read your essay entitled Threading the Needle with a Hammer with a Big, if Broken, Heart. Just a few paragraphs in, I found myself shutting down, unable to read clearly the rest of your essay. It took me many attempts at rereading it to get through it, and I appreciated the humanity and heartbreak that you shared. You wrote movingly about the agony of the suffering in Gaza personified by Palestinian poet Mossab Abu Toa. You wrote, Mossab's immediate circle have included the great Palestinian Mossab's immediate circle of death have included the great Palestinian poet Salim al-Nafar, who was buried since last Thursday with his family under rubble. Nahad al-Mufa, Moab's childhood soccer coach who was killed in an airstrike with his family. Samir Abu Daka, an Al Jazeera cameraman killed while trying to rescue a family stuck in a school. A handsome young man named Nassim and his dear friend, Professor Rafat al-Arir, who taught English literature at Gaza's Islamic University. Thank you for sharing their names, their circumstances, and in so doing, reminding us that the human cost of this war is just too much to bear. You shared that children in Gaza are dying at the rate of about 1 every 10 minutes. You wrote, it seems that one of Hamas's strategies is to situate itself among civilians, and this accounts for some of those civilian casualties. And then you said, there has to be another way than killing a kid every 10 minutes. I too want there to be another way. I too want this awful war to stop. But here's what shut me down. It was your attempt to distill what has happened into the most truthful, objective way of describing the process by which we arrived at this terrible moment into this line. You wrote, the repression of a people produces an attack, which produces a reprisal. You spent such thoughtful time finding the right way to define terms in this one-sentence description: repression, attack, reprisal. Yet the first word that shut me down was produces. The repression of a people produces an attack, which produces a reprisal. I know and love some Palestinian people, all of whom want a Palestinian state, many of whom have stories they would characterize as oppression, or in your word, repression. The particular Palestinian friends I have also understand the need for Jews who live in and on that land to have Jewish sovereignty on some of that land. And in other words, they conceive of a land of two peoples having two states in and on that land. And they do not see Hamas as representing the Palestinian people. And they certainly do not see the unspeakable crimes committed by terrorists on October 7th as an attempt to fight back from repression by people living beyond the border of Gaza and Israel. I am concerned with associating the actions on October 7th with fighting against repression or freedom fighting, instead of characterizing it as what has been clearly stated by Ghazi Hamad of the Hamas Political Bureau as an attempt at the annihilation of the Israeli people. Here are his words as shared on Lebanese television. Israel is a country that has no place on our land. We must remove that country because it constitutes a security, military, and political catastrophe to the Arab and Islamic nation and must be finished. We're not ashamed to say this with full force. We must teach Israel a lesson, and we will do this again and again. This is just the first time, and there will be a second and a third and a fourth because we have the determination, the resolve, and the capabilities to fight. But we have to pay a price, yes, and we are ready to pay it. We are called a nation of martyrs, and we are proud to sacrifice martyrs. The occupation must come to an end. The newscaster then asks, occupation where? In the Gaza Strip? Hamad says, no, I'm talking about all the Palestinian lands. The newscaster asks, does that mean the annihilation of Israel? Hamad replies, well, of course. The existence of Israel is illogical. The existence of Israel is what causes all that pain, blood, and tears. Therefore, nobody should blame us for the things we do on October 7th, on October 10th, on October 1 million. Everything we do is justified. Hamas does not speak for the Palestinian people. Hamad does not speak for the Palestinian people I know. I have a hard time with the implication that October 7th was freedom fighting against repression and not an attempt at annihilation. And again, I felt shut down by the use of your word reprisal. The repression of a people produces an attack which produces a reprisal. Reprisal feels like the wrong word to me, not only because it implies that the actions taken by Israel now are strictly punitive, though I realize that some abhorrent comments made by some in the Israeli government have unfortunately characterized it this way. My other problem with the word reprisal is that it implies that the action that Israel is taking now in this war is only about the attack that happened on October 7th. But that's not the case. This is not a reprisal for October 7th. There are hostages. 139 human beings sitting and suffering in captivity. And I can understand that it's hard to think about 139 captives when there are 2 million Palestinian people who are displaced and tens of thousands of Palestinians who have been killed in this cruel war, and mothers who are struggling to find clean water for their babies, and no place that feels safe from bombings, and disease looms at every border. But I do think of those hostages, and I think you do too. I'm haunted by them every day. I cannot stop thinking of them, and I will not stop thinking of them. Like Eli Sharabi, whose wife Lian and daughters Noya and Yachel, 16 and 13, were murdered on Kibbutz Be'eri after their home was set fire. Eli was taken captive with his brother Yossi, still alive. Their older sister, Osnat Sharabi, cried that she did not protect them. She made a trail of shoes called the Way Home, and she said, "It is my responsibility to get them home." And days later, she found out that her brother Yossi was killed in captivity. And the reason why characterizing this war as a reprisal by Israel seems off to me is that there is the ongoing horror of Hamas's tunnels, reportedly 400 miles built with money funneled from civilians' needs, military fortresses, some wide enough for cars, 5,700 separate entrances embedded below hospitals and homes and schools. What do we do in response to this cruel reality? From the way you frame the situation, the repression of a people produces an attack which produces a reprisal. The solution you offered seems logical. Force the powerful forces to stop. Demand a ceasefire now. But the frame is off. I too would like an end to this war, and the hostages home, and the tunnels destroyed, and the terror of Hamas dismantled, and Gaza rebuilt, and Gazans safe, and Israelis safe in their homes. I am grateful that you invited me to respond to your essay. It has taken me a long time to understand what I needed to share in response. Thank you for listening to me. I share this response to your note because I want you to see me and hear my perspective. I write this because I too am having trouble finding a way to thread a needle when the eye is so small and the thread of peace seems much too thick to get through that narrow hole. So I look to a beautiful midrash, a Jewish commentary that says, "The Holy One, blessed be God, said, 'Open up for me an opening the size of an eye of a needle, and in turn I will enlarge it into an opening through which wagons can enter.'" George, do you think we can continue to talk together and share our heartbreak and hope and agony and humanity in this time of war? Can we continue to talk in such a way that we open up the eye of the needle with grace and humility, with respect and honesty, so that the wagons of God's peace can enter the gates of Gaza and Israel through our open, if broken, hearts? In humble prayer, this is what I offer to you. I look forward to hearing your response. Sincerely, Shoshana.
Open the gates, don't let them close. Open the gates, the day's not over. Pitchuli sharet tzedek havovam modeya. Open the gates, my heart is clear. Open the gates, I ask you humbly. Pitchuli sharet tzedek havovam modeya. Ana Adonai Hoshianu. Ana Adonai Hoshianu. Through all my days I'll pray, I'm worthy of this moment. With head bowed and knees bent, I pray that you open the gates, don't let them close. Open the gates, I ask you humbly. Pitchuli sharet tzedek havovam modeya.
We continue with our service now on the bottom of page 586. In body and spirit we rise.
Aleinu leshabeach ladon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
If you are standing, please be seated.
I have a few quick announcements. The first is that we will invite you to join us for an oneg, for a bite of something delicious and a moment to say hello to each other after the service. We're not going to be in Bettyport Hall tonight. We're going to be in Lakeshore Lobby, so just right over this way. The second is that if you are exploring the spiritual gifts of life after 50, so if you are 50 plus, you are invited to join us for a Mindful Jewish Aging tomorrow at 1 p.m. You can join us in person or online. On Monday, we don't always divide everything up by age, but a few things are divided up by age. So if you are in your 20s and 30s, 21 to 39, you can join me and my friend Rabbi Benji Forrester at Anshe Emet. We are doing two rabbis walk into a bar where we are going to the Burning Bush Brewery, and we're going to talk about keeping kosher from a reform and conservative perspective. They have very different perspectives, so if you are not surprised. But please join us on Monday at 7 p.m. At the Burning Bush Brewery. Next Friday, February 2nd, you can join our Or Hadash LGBTQ Shabbat service, which takes place at 7:45 p.m. And then next week on Saturday, February 3rd at 6:30 p.m. in person, if you are in Mishpacha, so if you are a family, you can join us for Israeli food and wine tasting. This is, however, a kid-free event, which is going to make it all the more fun. But no, I'm just kidding. We love kids. However, we love them very much. However, this is a wine tasting event, so you can join us here for wine tasting at 6:30 p.m. next Saturday. I feel like, wow, what am I going to say next? Okay. We have a series of an amazing scholar coming up, Efrat Bloom. She's teaching Echoes from the Shtetl, exploring Sholom Aleichem's monologues. Sholom Aleichem is one of the most incredible writers in all of Jewish history. He's deep and hilarious, and so you can join her. She's an amazing scholar on Sundays at 9:30 a.m. online, February 4th, 11th, and 25th. If you want to do even more culture and embracing of Jewish identity, you can join us for our Adult Education Monday Film Nights on Monday, February 5th. And then finally, the best announcement of them all, if you struggle with technology and you are looking for ways as we shift our communication more and more online, if you feel like, oh my gosh, what is happening? How do I use Facebook? How do I use Instagram to understand all of the amazing things going on at Temple Sholom? You can talk to the most technologically well-versed people in the universe, myself and Rabbi Scott Gelman, to learn how to use social media. This is on Tuesday, February 6th at 12:30 p.m. Come join us for some coffee and snacks, and we'll walk you through Temple Sholom communications online. However, we will be in person. So those are all of our amazing things. All of the amazing things happening at Temple Sholom in the next 2 weeks.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi. I also want to give another mazel tov to our extraordinary family, to our Eliza, who is becoming bat mitzvah tomorrow, and to the Matchis and Madigan families. We are so excited and grateful, and I'll say that tomorrow, what a beautiful way for us as a community to be able to celebrate the future of who our people is becoming, especially on a day in which we are commemorating internationally the Holocaust. And so it is a way in which we as Jews, usually when we commemorate the 6 million Jews who were murdered in the Holocaust, we commemorate that on Yom HaShoah in May. But what we do as an international community is once a year we say this is a day that we're remembering all 11 million who were murdered, but we don't stop there. We say, and we need to look to a different future. And your family has been so much a part of making sure that we have a different future to turn to. And Eliza, we're very excited to celebrate with you. I also think that it's wonderful that the Matchis family is here tonight, and that so many of you are with us, because this is a night in which we are marking the yahrzeit of our beloved Rabbi, Rabbi Fred Schwartz. And I want to say just a word about his legacy here at Temple Sholem. I think that if any of you were lucky enough to know him, wow. He was somebody who was an athlete, a scholar. There was really nothing, I don't think, that he could not do. He faced everything with an intellectual rigor and also a sense of playfulness and fun that is a unique combination, and that we had him as our leader for so long. I feel grateful. I feel grateful for the ways in which his scholarship still is bearing its fruit here at Temple Sholem. I'm grateful to his wife, Roberta Schwartz, who still teaches in our program, who is an extraordinary scholar in her own right. I want to say what a privilege it is to be able to serve in a community where Fred Schwartz was a leader and whose model of leadership we all try very hard to follow, but who can live up to that? Tonight we remember him and we are grateful to his legacy. Tonight we also are marking the yahrzeit of Sadie Glick Abrahams, Carol Ansbach, Lois Brill Aronson, Judy Bellick, Gerald Bernstein, Alfreda Billingham, Melvin Blutter, Bertram Bradlow, Esther DeCarker, Leslie Drucker, Colonel Henry Fantis, Saul E. Feldbein, Elaine Finder, Leonard Fishman, Claire Forgash-Liss, Riva L. Gordon, Robert Healy, Renee Israel, Patricia Kurjan, Charles Lane and Dolores Lane, Sarah Linker, Edward Litwin, Jennifer Perlman, Miriam Oring Pellier, Roma Lee Robbins, Rabbi Frederick C. Schwartz, Milton Spiegel, Miriam Spielman, Ruth Cooks Starr, Ruth Steinberg, Evelyn Sugarman, Marcia Weinstein, and Sharon Weiss. We also know that there are those among us who are still in Shloshim in the 30 days after the death of their loved one. And so tonight, we are remembering their loved ones. We're remembering Case Phillips, Alvaro Lopez Pinto, Anne Zeiger Friedman, Edith Schumer, Bruce Levy, and Lori Renninger. There are others whom you are remembering this evening, whose name you would like to mention at this time. If you're remembering them and would like to mention their name, I invite you to do so now. Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish, is on page 598. We rise.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalmad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon, v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'yimeru. Yehi shemei Rabbah mevorach leolam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnosei. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudusha le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran v'yalma v'yimeru.
Amen.
Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom mimromav huyaseh shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, uyaseh shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru.
Well,
if you
as
wish
we-
to turn back to 647.
Well, what I love about it is that as you probably mentioned in the beginning, that this is the week
How
of the
did you
Song
know
of the
I
Sea,
said that?
and that we have this line from that beautiful, I guess, antiphonal way
Yeah.
in which we sing this. I also love it because Rabbi Schwartz's granddaughter, this was her Torah portion as well. So how wonderful, again, how worlds all come together in beauty here at Temple Sholem on this Shabbat.
It'll be like this tomorrow morning. O ziv zimratya vayehi lishua zeli They come for the rest tomorrow. O ziv zimratya vayehi
To keep the Zoom on. I'm coming back to greet our Zoomers tonight. I'll also invite all of us to go to the Oneg. We've got lots to talk about and to greet each other and what all we want to say and share with one another. We'll do that back there in Lakeshore Lobby. Shabbat Shalom.
You're muted early.
A great week, everyone.
Hello.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Yeah, we didn't even see everybody.
Not here twice in a week.
Amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. I know. They're the Rudishes.
You want to go for 3 times?
What are you doing tomorrow?
Oh, well. How nice.
So yeah, so
I
Nice to see everyone.
Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos, everyone.
Ah,
Shabbos.
with the pooch.
Shabbat shalom.
Hi, Mitchell. Nice to see you.
You too. This is Arthur.
Yes.
Hi, son.
He's already observing Shabbat.
Oh, well. Whatever. Olga, nice to see you.
Nice to see you. You know, before the service, I couldn't turn on my sound.
Marisa.
Well, because they had it shut off.
No, I know, but it was
the
even
beginning.
before they shut off. I couldn't.
Oh,
But now it's okay, so it's okay.
Yeah, I was kind of.
Hi, Rabbi.
Conversation with them, that's why I
It's Jake and Julian and the rabbi.
I tried to pick up that essay that by George Saunders,
why you
but
did that.
it's only for paid subscribers. So
Oh, really? Well, maybe you can get a copy from the rabbi.
that's what I'm trying to see if she
Well,
wants
send her an email
Okay, I will.
because they're talking there. So
Say she was.
in the meantime, the Crows, it's so nice to see you.
It's nice to be seen.
It's nice to
know.
see everybody. Shabbat
Believe
shalom.
me. And lady in
Shabbat
red,
shalom.
you look terrific.
Hey,
Dana,
Roger, you
I love
look
it when
great,
you
too.
wear red. And of course, there's Batches wearing red too. Why not? And take care of your ribs. Batcha, take care of your ribs. You heard me. Okay. All right, everyone. Have a good week.
All right,
Bye.
Shabbat
Everybody.
Shabbat
Shalom.
Bye, Sonny.
Take care.
Shabbat
Shalom.
Stay well,
Shabbat shalom.
everyone.
All right, can you hear? Oh, did
Oh,
everybody
Rabbi,
leave
we
already,
can
though?
hear.
All right. All right. Oh, it's
Beautiful
good to see
sermon.
you, Glory.
Thank you. Shabbat shalom.
All right. I'm so sorry we can't hear each other. Great to see you. Mwah.